So here we go. All right, it is the top of the hour and we are now just letting some people in. So welcome everyone. As we wait for people to come in, I am Candace Stearns, your host this evening for Take a Virtual Vacation. If you are just joining us, if you could just pop in the chat box where you're from. We want to make sure we give everybody ample time to come on in. Oh, greetings from Chicago. Hi, Megan. Welcome. Mark is here from Maryland. And Anthony. Anthony's from New Jersey. Hi, New Jersey. Iowa City, Orlando, Minneapolis, Tennessee. Couple Tennessees, Morristown, looks like, West Bend, Wisconsin, Toronto, Detroiter. I'm fellow Detroiter with you, Jim, and Mesa from Michigan. Hi, Michigan crew. Just give a few more minutes here. Just want to give one more minute. So I see people are still coming in. Mark's from Alexandria. All right. Hi, Alexandria. Virginia. Okay. So we are right around the 8:02 mark, and I see most of the participants have popped in. So welcome. I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. So good evening to those of you in Eastern Standard and Central Time zones. This is Take a Virtual Vacation, and I am Candace Stearns, one of the many hosts for Take a Virtual Vacation. Typically, we also have Maria Stephanopoulos with us, but unfortunately she was not able to make it today. So let's jump right in and introduce all of us who've put the Take a Virtual Vacation together. For those of you who have been with us for a while, welcome back. We've been holding these Take a Virtual Vacations on Tuesdays ever since the beginning of April of this year in 2020. And we put this presentation and this whole group together basically out of a need to keep positive and really help with the boredom when we initially were all on lockdown with the pandemic. And so those of us in the travel industry and the hospitality industry, of course, couldn't do what we love to do, which is travel. So we thought, well, let's bring destinations to us. If we can't physically go there, that isn't going to stop us necessarily. So we put this group together of these other travel advisors. And besides myself, there is Maria Stephanopoulos from the greater Tampa Bay area, and she is a travel advisor with Ingenious Travel. The other travel advisors are Susan Schaefer from Ships and Trips Travel, and she's in the Middle Tennessee area. There's also two ladies from California, Barbara Oliver from All Together Now Travel, and Gail Sherman from Wine Lovers Travel. And then also we have a relatively newer advisor who joined us at the end of October, Angela Urshelwood from Olive and Atlas Travel Design, and she is from the Milwaukee, Wisconsin area. So those are the folks who've been putting these together since, like I said, the April timeframe. And you can find us on Take a Virtual Vacation either on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. We also have some wonderful meetup groups, and Those of you who are looking to get together with like-minded foodies and fellow travelers, we have 4 meetup groups now. There's one in Greater Tampa Bay area. There's one in Middle Tennessee. There's one in Detroit that I help host. And our newest meet up group with Eat, Drink, and Travel is in Lake County, Wisconsin. So of course, because a lot of areas aren't able to meet in restaurants with groups that are larger than, 10 per se, we aren't always meeting in person. And so we are also extending this Take a Virtual Vacation to those of you in the meetup group. But we are going to be planning future in-person groups through these meetups. So if that's something you're interested in, please check it out. And we will be copying and pasting all this information into the chat later. But tonight, you are all here so that we can learn more about Chile. So we have Bram and Sebastian, and they are going to be sharing with you all things related to the country and travel too. So I am now going to pass it over to Sebastian. Welcome.
Welcome everyone to this virtual vacation to Chile. Today we're going to be talking about like the best highlights of the destinations, and Bram will be the one who's going to be presenting. This is going to be a very, very interactive presentation because we're going to be sharing all the experiences that we can showcase in the destination itself with a couple of pictures of all the activities that you can actually get to be able to do it while in the destination, and also some videos that are going to be with some information and also some real comments of passengers who traveled to Chile last year. So Bram, please go ahead, and good luck on the virtual tour to Chile. Thank you very much.
I'll take it over. Thank you so much, Candice and Sebastian. Hello, everybody. My name is Bram Evers. I'm here backing up all these wonderful people in travel industry and trying to indulge you're in all these beautiful destinations that unfortunately at the moment we're not able to travel to, but soon will be opening. As for Chile, for instance, the country is going to be opened in a couple of weeks' time. Flights will be arriving, so we will all be very, very happy to make some wonderful trips for all you guys to this country of Chile. That's the news. That's the news. So yeah, sit back, relax, as they always say in every airplane, and have your Chilean wine. I have mine here, of course. I couldn't do without. So enjoy this little journey through the country of Chile.
And those of you who do have questions, just pop them in the chat and we will get to them, but I don't want you to forget them. So if you pop them in there, we will have some time at the end. Bram and I promise we'll get to them.
Super. Yes, exactly. So this is going to take you on this magical journey through this natural paradise that is called Chile. This is Pure Chile, which is my company. And that's a DMC working together with all these fine people, these travel advisors in the States. We do not sell anything direct to consumers, so please do not try to contact us directly. You will have to go through a travel agent to be hosted by us. So here we will actually start with this video, which is a video made by us. And that actually takes you from north to south, and which will be a recognition later on the journey through Chile. Let's see if this can work. I do ask you for sometimes a couple of minutes. So that was the first impression of the whole country. And now we're actually going to take you through each and every region to show you what's there to see, so you can actually decide whether that's something for you to go and explore whenever that's possible, or maybe to skip it and go somewhere else. So we have actually divided the country into several regions. Each region can be taken as a little piece of your holiday. So we have from north to south, the Norte Grande, the Norte Chico, which is like the Norte Grande with Atacama Desert. The Norte Chico is very famous for the stargazing, as we see here. Then we get to Santiago, which is the big city, the capital of Chile, and which is also where you actually get in with the airplane into the airport. And then to the south of Santiago, we have the lake districts, and that's when you actually get into this very lush and green vegetation of the lake district of Chile, which is like the starter of Patagonia. So after that, you get into Patagonia, which of course is one of the big highlights of the country. But besides that, we have this Easter Island, which is one of the remote islands, or the most remote island in the world, which has more Polynesian culture, very different than the rest of Chile. And you have the Carretera Austral, which is this wonderful road that actually takes you from one point to the other, driving through this magnificent scenery that is part of already Patagonia. So where are we? Chile is actually the longest country in the world. It is a very long country, I must say. It's, if you take it from in the States, it's really from one side to the other, and it covers its all. That's the size of Chile. It's like 2,653 miles long. So imagine everything that you can actually see in that little piece of land, because it's not very wide, it's pretty narrow. On the widest point of Chile, we're talking about 217 miles, and that's it. So we are on this side of South America, bordering with Argentina, with Peru, with Bolivia, and Antarctica on the south, and the Pacific coast, of course. So our capital is Santiago. We have the Chilean peso as our currency. 19 million people, which is really nothing if you see how large the country is, and that really makes it so attractive nowadays, because you have all these vast and places where you will not see anybody else, or where you really can do the social distancing as we all know it nowadays. You don't need any vaccines to get here. So it's quite easy to actually come and get your ticket to Chile. So now, why should we actually visit Chile? What does Chile have as special? As I said, it's actually the longest country. It's not the second longest, it's actually the longest country in the world. You have some really amazing places for stargazing. So those who actually like to see the stars and the southern hemisphere of our sky, you can actually see that here. In December we have eclipse as well, which is very famous in Chile. So we have the Atacama Desert, which is one of the driest places on earth. And of course, we have our wines. We are the fifth largest exporter and ninth largest producers worldwide in wine. And in Chile, they actually rediscovered the Carmenere grape, which is one of the really nice wines, the one we have here. So we also have one of the oldest mummies in Chile, which is in the far north, difficult to get to. You will probably not get there. Then we have the largest building in South America in Chile, in Santiago. And Chile, as you will see in many of the presentations or the little videos that we get later on, you will see that that it's a lot of adventure. There's a lot of soft adventure to do in and around Chile. And it's been awarded 5 years in a row now for the best adventure tourism destination by the World Travel Awards. And yes, the Easter Island that I said is the world's most remote island. It's like a 5-hour flight out of Santiago. And here you have the more Polynesian culture, 887 human-shaped figures, which we call as moais, and which is an island that has its own culture. It's like an own country, and it's very, very worth visiting. So here we get to Santiago. Santiago is in the middle almost of the country. That's like the only international airport that we have. So that's how you get to Chile. And then we get to Santiago, which is the capital. And out of Santiago, you have a lot to do. So also if you're just for a short trip or for a business trip and you're in Santiago, you would like to do anything else in the surroundings, there really, really is a lot to do in the surroundings of this capital. We have a lot of vineyards and valleys next to Santiago, of which Viña Vic I'd like to highlight, which is one of the very, very nice properties. We can take you there by helicopter and you have this amazing experience in this winery. They also have other properties in Portugal, for instance, and around the world. Very, very nice high-end luxury accommodation and experiences. But also you have this valley, which is the Casablanca Valley. And here you have like the big wine growers and vineyards, also for white wines and red wines. And from here you actually get to Valparaiso, which is the more bohemian place in Chile, right on the coast. But to the other side, you have another wine valley, and you have like a little Cajón del Maipo, which is like for adventurous people who like to do a nice hike or rafting. So everything around Santiago is there. You also have the mountains for skiing. Santiago is a capital where you will see that there are all these mountain ranges, which is the Andes. The Andes Mountains, it's an hour and a half drive out of the city to get to your slope. And you have world-class ski opportunities next to this capital. In summertime, of course, you have an hour and a half to the other side and you actually be on the beach in Viña del Mar and Valparaíso. So this is the center of Santiago, where you have the presidential palace that we're showing you here. You have this colonial center, which you will see a lot in South America. Many of our cities and capitals have this colonial style, is Spanish colonial style it is in its cities. Here you have the churches, the main squares, and you actually see like the modern style, because Santiago is a cosmopolitan. Santiago is modern. This is a place that a lot of you will probably go as well, maybe for a business trip, as there is a lot of corporate travel into Chile. You have the Mercado Central, which is like the main market, and in the main market you have all these nice little restaurants. This one, Donde Augustos, is probably one of the better known, and where you can actually serve some really, really great seafood. We also help you with like romantic brunches, lunches, dinners, and this is something you cannot miss, the king crab. The king crab is very famous to Chile. It's fished in cold waters, very, very deep cold waters, and you have this amazingly big king crab, which tastes wow. We can do some experiences like the cooking classes all together, showing you the gastronomy of Chile. And we have the relaxation areas. We can organize a wellness trip with several local producers to actually get some really nice treatments. We also have some unique locations. So whether you would like to make it really weird, really different, you really want to go out of the box, then that's also possible. Just let your travel advisor know, and we'll actually make something really, really unique out of your trip to Chile. So let's have a look on what people say about Santiago.
tem carinho por Santiago, a cidade de Santiago. A gente quer ficar na rua, quer ficar na mesa, sentar nas calçadas. Em 3 dias em Santiago, foi muito feliz. Eu falei, a minha família tem que ver isso.
As residents of Santiago, for us, it's impressive to imagine that in the winter, in 1 hour, we're up in the ski mountains, and that during the summer, we're 1 hour away from the ocean in Viña del Mar.
It's very different to what I'm used to in Australia. It's very flat there. Here I'm so high, 3,000 meters. It's pretty incredible. I haven't experienced anything like it before. You have to come here to really understand it.
Qui dit jeudi soir, qui dit vendredi soir, dit sortir à Miami. C'est là qu'il y a les meilleurs restaurants, à des prix qui sont super abordables, pour boire un bon vin chilien, bonne cerveza artisanale. Mais c'est le quartier pour sortir avec les copains, prendre une bière tranquillement.
We feel people really want us to experience their country. So people are really over the top to show us, tell us where to go. They really want us, I think, to experience the true Chile, which is really, really nice for us.
We've been away for 3 weeks and we don't miss home at all. We feel very comfortable here.
And very safe as well.
Yeah.
Eu me sinto em casa. Mesmo estando fora, em um país totalmente diferente do meu, eu me sinto em casa.
So that's Santiago, which is like a destination itself. Now actually get you to those areas neighboring the Santiago metropolitan area, which is Valparaíso. As you see, it's very bright and colorful, and it's built on these hills, and it goes up and down. And Valparaíso is part of UNESCO World Heritage. This is on the Pacific coast. It's like an 1.5 hour drive out of Santiago. This man from Santiago said it was an hour, but he probably drives very fast. But this is a place where you can find lots of history, and also those who actually read have probably heard about Pablo Neruda and his work. He has a house in this area as well. And there are these little funiculars that goes up to help you and don't have to climb the stairs, all these hills, and get into the little picturesque streets of Valparaíso. It really is an amazing place where you have all these art workshops and galleries. It really is inviting to visit. Then we have Viña del Mar, which is very famous for the Chilean people itself, for their beaches, and also for a concert. There's a yearly concert in Viña del Mar for a music festival. And then, yes, on the way to these areas, you have the Casablanca Valley, where we have the very, very nice wine tastings you can actually get in several areas around Santiago. So we have several options here to actually stay at the winery, do a horseback riding, do a hiking through the vineyards, do the tastings, maybe first the horseback and the bike ride, and then the tastings. Yes. So there's a lot to do, and who doesn't want to sit on this bench here with that scenery at the back and sipping on one really, really nice Chilean wine. So we can do some special moments of romanticism, and of course, if somebody wants to do a honeymoon, or maybe a second honeymoon, then that's also possible. Again, in this area as well, it's really unique for everything that has to do with wellness. Get your mind free and see the scenery that Chile has to offer you. In this area, we can also do a hot air balloon, which actually takes you over the vineyards, and with all these mountains at the back, which are the whole year snow capped, it really gives a complete scenery of what Chile is about. A country that is between the Pacific and the Andes, and that's what you're going to see throughout your journey through Chile. So now we're going to get you to sip on your glasses.
The wines of Chile are well known throughout the world, and so that's what we wanted to do today, is come to one of the best valleys and taste a variety of different grapes.
Vim a Santiago porque eu adoro vinho, né? Então tenho procurado conhecer algumas regiões vinícolas. Além disso, gostaria de ver neve também.
Eu gostaria de juntar o vinho, que a gente gosta muito, com a neve, que eu também gosto muito. A comida também é ótima. Lá no Atacama a gente comeu muita comida típica e a gente amou. Foi incrível.
O pisco também é muito bom, com rica de que a erva lá do Atacama ainda fica melhor ainda.
On est allé visiter une pisqueria, ici dans la vallée de l'Alqui, à côté de Vicuña. On a pris tout du processus de fabrication du pisco. C'est quelque chose qu'on ne connaissait pas, et en plus c'est marrant parce que ça se rapproche un peu du cognac en France. Et c'est bon.
C'était très bon.
I think one of our favourite things about Chile is probably the drinks, so the wine and the pisco.
Foi a melhor decisão que a gente poderia ter tomado. Vir para Casablanca, fazer vinhos de alta qualidade. E eu acho que tudo isso tem a ver com o solo e com o clima que tem aqui.
Chile produces one of the best wines, the quality in the world.
We get it in Australia as well. So.
Yeah.
But to have it here in this setting it's amazing.
So yes, everybody probably thinks pisco. Pisco, is that Chilean? I heard it's Peruvian. But yes, there is an everlasting fight between Peru and Chile about who actually has the pisco and who actually has the origin of the pisco and who is, of course, the best pisco. I don't really believe we care as long as the pisco is nice. But so in Chile, they actually do have a lot of pisco as well. And the pisco grapes are actually grown in this Norte Chico that I'm taking you now. So north of Santiago, you have an hour flight to La Serena. And from La Serena, we get to this town, which this gentleman mentioned, Vicuña. In Vicuña, you have the nicer hotels, which is also just a 2-hour drive from this Elqui Valley. And the Elqui Valley is home to the pisco grapes. So we can not only see like the really good wines in the vineyards and the wine grapes, but also the pisco grapes in Chile. So we can take you here and we can combine this little like excursion with an expedition to Punta Choros. And Punta Choros is very nice because here you can actually see the penguins. So here you don't have to go all the way down south to see the penguins. You can just do it with an hour flight and like a 2-hour drive, and you'll be here at this place where we can take you on a little boat, and you will probably see a 90% chance of seeing penguins. And this is also home to the Mamayuca, which is one of the better stations for stargazing. And these are professional stargaze observatories. Here we can actually organize a dinner under the stars, and then somebody, a professional stargazer, will actually show you how the Southern Hemisphere works. So that's this one here. As you see, it really is, it looks like almost NASA type. And this is this little boat that takes you to the penguins that are here, the Humboldt penguin. In this area also, you have a museum of Gabriela Mistral, which is one of the poets of Chile. Some probably have heard about her. Here we, of course, have the pisco tasting and everything about the pisco and the whole process of making pisco and the grapes in the vineyards of the pisco. And you have this flowering desert, which is just for those who really have a bit more time to travel and would like to go on a road trip from this Norte Chico towards the Atacama Desert. If you'd like to do that, then you have to do that in a certain area, time of year, and you'll see this desert flowering, which is quite unique. Here we also have meditations, classes, yogas, spas, you name it. Wedding ceremonies, it's all there for you to enjoy if that's going to be your goal of your holiday. Now we're going to take you to Norte Grande. So actually the Norte Chico is usually not a big highlight. It's not something that most clients go to. Most people, most travelers actually go to this area, which is San Pedro de Atacama, which is this desert in the northern part of Chile that truly connects very well with Bolivia as well. If you'd like to do that on an overland with Bolivia, then that's very good possible. And we take you to the Uyuni salt flats, for instance. But here we are in Chile, so we actually stick to Chile. From San Pedro Atacama, you actually have the airport and an hour and a half drive in Calama. This is a flight out of Santiago. And you get to San Pedro Atacama, and from here you have all these visits everywhere around, which you can actually do either on a bike, you can take a car. The good thing of Chile is that you have these amazing hotels, really beautiful places, and they actually include all the excursions for you. So you can actually decide when to go where, and they actually help you, and it's already included in the price to go everywhere around this area. What we recommend here is to stay minimum 2 nights, but like 3 or even 4 nights is possible to stay in San Pedro to see all the landscapes and all the sites around. So here we have some images of what you actually can see and what you can come across with if you travel through this area, through this desert, where you have these different lagoons, these different sceneries, these different options to hike a bit, to swim, but also to sandboard, for instance, or to see the sun go down, like in the Moon Valley. It's one of the best places for the sunset. So here we're going to take you. You're going to sit on the rim of one of these mountains, and you just see the sunset, the sun going under to light the other part of the world. As I said, you have the sandboarding here for those who enjoy that kind of soft adventure. We have some spas, of course, as well. The wellness here is great. We have some horseback ridings. We can do the cycling. You can also decide to do and actually rent your own car and do this all on your own. And we help you just with the great accommodation and our tips to go to the different places and what's nice to see. So here we have, of course, wines, which is all around in Chile. Special settings we can arrange for those who would like to have like a little lunch somewhere else, a picnic lunch. And there we go with some relaxation after all the impressions that you get during that day. Now we're going to see it a bit in like live videos. This is one of my favorite places, really.
Quando nós chegamos aqui, já sentimos algo bem diferente. Mexe até com a nossa espiritualidade.
En regardant autour de moi, j'ai l'impression qu'on est seul au monde et qu'on découvre comme une nouvelle planète. Qu'on est comme des explorateurs qui découvront un nouvel endroit.
Chile ist ein Wahnsinnsland, Wahnsinnskulissen und ebenso wie wir hier sitzen, es ist einfach traumhaft hier zu sein. Also wenn ich hier sitze und so über die Landschaft sehe, fühle ich mich einfach großartig. Und dann noch mein Board zu schnappen und einfach den Sand runter zu düsen, das ist klasse.
Quando você passa, você vê paisagens diferentes, formações diferentes. As cores diferentes. As cores, muitas vermelho, cores. Verde.
Y Beta Crucis se llama. La de la derecha y la de la izquierda. Luego tenemos esta otra parte del cielo, que es Orión.
Chilenos são especiais. As pessoas recebem os visitantes muito bem, com alegria, com conhecimento da cultura. São acolhedores. Eu me sinto muito bem. O Chile é um país esplêndido. Cada hora, cada dia é uma experiência diferente.
Todas as sensações a gente pode viver aqui, principalmente no Atacama. Venham para o Atacama. É fantástico essa experiência, não tem outra igual.
Atacama is amazing. That is actually one of the highlights and one of the parts that you should want to put into an itinerary if you go to Chile. Now we get you to the south. So here we don't have any connecting flights from the north that actually connect with the south of Chile. So you always have to get back to Santiago and then do a transfer and jump on another plane to get to the southern part of Chile, which is going to be now the Lake District. So we have the Lake District, which actually has 3 entries and is actually like 3 different regions within the Lake District. We have Temuco, Valdivia, and Puerto Montt. The most visited one is probably Puerto Varas. Puerto Montt is like the airport that you get to. It's not a very interesting city. It's a fisherman's city. It really smells like fish everywhere you go. So you want to get out and get to Puerto Varas, which is this beautiful, pretty village on this lake shore of Yanquihue Lake, where you have the Osorno volcano, which is a beautiful volcano right on the other side of the lake. It's really impressive. Here, all of a sudden, we really get into more German culture. Here, lots of German people came to live, and they have their colonies and their communities, and actually took over this little part of Chile. So here you get the bratwurst, and here you have like the German beers and things like that. So it's pretty fun to see that change. To the northern part of this Lake District, it's more nature. Here you also have big parks, big national parks, great for some hiking. And this is probably what you actually expect from Chile. Here you will see the large forests, the deer, mountains, volcanoes, and that's in this area. So let's see some images of what you can see here, what you can do. It's also a ski resort in this southern part of Chile, of course, in winter time, which is your summertime. So that's actually quite fun to actually go in August, September, July, and do a ski holiday to Chile. This are like the hikes that you can do. This is the Darwin Trail. You have some raftings. And here you see lots of adventure sports. Now, Chile is not only about this adventure. We can really do a very easygoing, lazy, laid-back, luxurious trip as well to Chile, as all these hotels that I talked to you about actually have several areas that they cover, and they really help you to create the moment that you need with the adventures that you need. If it's not a rafting, you don't have to go rafting, of course. Of course, here also we have the penguins. Now we get into the wildlife area of Chile. The skies, the seas, the mountains, almost like Scotland kind of idea. And here you have these pretty unique settings that you actually can have with those amazing views towards the ocean. Some horseback riding. Of course, you have all the local produce in elegant shops. And here you have the nice afternoons that you can take and relax again of everything that you've actually experienced during the day. So let's see a bit on the Lake District, which is an area that is visited often, but it's not always inside an itinerary. So this is for those who have a bit more time.
That's Rucapián, Casa de los Espíritus, the House of the Spirits. It's amazing to have something that's alive and it's changing all the time. Just love it here. You can go up into the mountains and see the araucaria tree, which is a 70-million-year-old species, or go into the ancient forest. It's just things that you can't see in other places of the world.
Je suis tombé un peu amoureux de l'endroit par les volcans qui changent tous les matins, les lumières sont tous les jours différentes, et tout est différent tous les jours.
drive in, the lake was very beautiful, and the scenery just kept getting better the closer we got. Then this morning, looking up and seeing the volcano stretching up above the rest of the mountains. So it's more than just picturesque, it's really amazing to see.
We don't have this in Minnesota.
So yes, then you think, well, I don't see that many indigenous people like you probably see in Bolivia or Peru, where everything is more indigenous, and you have, oh, I'm sorry, you have all these tribes and local little communities, and they all dress differently. Yes, that's true. In Chile, the population is way different than in these other countries. But actually, you do have some local communities, and we have the Mapuches, which are the locals. They're still the indigenous tribes, and they live in this lake district as well, and on the Chiloé Island, which is part of the lake district, and which can be visited easily. And then we actually get to this Carretera Austral, which is another place that I'd like to highlight just to be complete on this journey through Chile. You don't necessarily have to pick this as one of your destinations, but it might as well be something that you're looking for. This is something to do on like a self-drive. So here you can actually take a car and we'll make sure that you have everything ready and that the accommodations are there and that your bed is spread and that you have a nice dinner. But then actually the drive is you do it by yourself, which is quite easy because it's just one road. And then you do all these amazing stops around on the way. And the drives are short. Here you have like an hour drive, another hour, 30 minutes. So here you have like, it's very easy. We can do like self drives from different numbers of days as well. And you can actually drive through this Patagonia and through this landscape, which is intriguing, which just shows you how big the world actually is and how small we as human beings actually are. And there's a lot to discover on this road. So this is something for those who really would like to see the inner Chile, or so to say. And this is what you get to see. You know, those glaciers coming down into lakes, and you're just standing there very closely seeing nature working. This marble caves that you can actually also kayak through. It's in this area of the Carretera Austral that you actually see these wonders. So let's get you on a journey to the Carretera Austral, which is one of the epic rides in the world.
On a l'impression d'être seul au milieu de nulle part, et c'est facile à dire, mais c'est vraiment la sensation de liberté. Ça peut être des coins magiques, et vraiment, si on veut être tranquille au bord de la mer et de la montagne, il faut venir ici.
I've seen just person after person come here and they just decide they can never leave. They have to find some way to get a job here and live here.
Parce que c'est complètement différent de tout ce que j'ai vu avant. Parfois du marbre dans les églises ou dans des monuments, mais jamais dans un milieu naturel.
It's really hard to describe it without being here. You just have to see it.
Very different, but it's something to keep in mind. Now, this slide used to be on the next one, so let's go here, which is Patagonia. This is where you really want to be. This is where everybody has a desire to go to. And I'd like to explain a bit how it works. So either out of Santiago or Puerto Montt, there's a flight to Punta Arenas. And Punta Arenas is like the entry to Patagonia for Chile. Of course, Patagonia is divided between Chile and Argentina. And the southernmost point is called Tierra de Fuego. Now here in Punta Arenas, we have the option to actually go and visit several things. Like here in Isla Magdalena, we have the penguins, like the king penguins. You have the Parque Pingüino Rey, which is on the other side as well, that can be visited out of Punta Arenas. But then also this is where you actually start your journey into Torres del Paine National Park. And Torres del Paine is like the main highlight again within the highlights. So you have Patagonia as a highlight, but then the main highlight is Torres del Paine, which are these 3 cones standing out there with all these lakes in between. We'll show you pictures later on. So that's actually a 3-hour drive out of Punta Arenas to get to Puerto Natales. Only in high season, which is from October to April, we have certain flights that actually get you directly to Puerto Natales, but those are not regular flights. So that's not something that we can always guarantee. So once you're in Puerto Natales, it's still a 2-hour drive into Torres del Paine National Park. You can also combine Chile with Argentina here out of Puerto Natales. There's a road that actually takes you to El Calafate, where you can see the Perito Moreno Glacier, which is the most famous one on the Argentinian side. Also from Puerto Natales, there is a way to start like a little cruise, and you can actually do a boat trip of like 4 days to the fjords of Patagonia, and that they actually take you to the other side of the Torres del Paine National Park, which is quite interesting. So here we have the Torres del Paine. Those are the ones that you will see on many of those pictures. And everybody wants to stand there on their foothills and feel how huge it is actually. So here you have the Andes in the best splendor. And with the lakes, several lakes you're gonna have here in this area, in this national park. Now you have many people that actually visit the national park on just like a day tour. So out of Puerto Natales, they do a day tour into Torres del Paine. But what's also possible is to actually stay there for a night or for a couple of nights and explore the area a bit more. There are several really nice hotels and resorts inside this national park, like the Explora one, for instance. We also have one with domes. So you actually be in a dome yourself, and you can open the roof and see the sky. It's called Patagonia Camp. So there's different options here for you to actually stay in close by this wonder, this beauty of a national park. Here we can actually do this kayaking near those glaciers, which is on the Great Lake. You have the wildlife that you can spot here with a bit of luck, of course. Caves, there are many of those. This is the Sofia Lake, and this is kind of what you expect from Patagonia, these kind of landscapes. And of course, you have those really, really great hotels and accommodations where you can actually relax in the afternoons. Also in this area, we have some culinary experiences for the local and the food that the local actually prepare for you, or if you'd like, you can prepare it with them. So let's take you to Patagonia.
As the world grows in population, there are just fewer and fewer places where one can really experience one-on-one nature. Patagonia is one of those few places.
30 anos. E a nossa lua de mel foi no Chile. Faz parte da nossa história. O Chile está nos nossos mais queridos álbuns de fotografias e de filmagem.
The name Patagonia evokes travel, it evokes wonder and mystery.
Sentir el viento en la noche que te mueve las carpas te da la idea de que no sos nadie en esa inmensidad. Verte en ese lugar y decir, esta inmensidad me absorbe, me devora. Eso es amor.
Now, there are several ways to visit Patagonia. We can actually take you on one of these beauties. And that's probably like the extension to what you can see at Torres del Paine. Once you've seen the highlight of the highlights, you can actually extend a bit more of your travels with one of those cruises. You have the Scorpius or the Australis, or we can actually take you on a real cruise to the Antarctic, which is completely like another country, or so to say. So the Scorpius has actually one which is already going out of Puerto Montt, which is in the Lake District, and then takes you into Patagonia all the way down, which is actually also next to where the Carretera Austral goes. So here you can also go by your own car and you can see several of these places, but you can also take this cruise, this boat that takes you, and they actually do all these visits along the way, along their navigation. And they also have another route, which is quite interesting, goes out of Puerto Natales, which is close to Torres del Paine, as you remember, and that takes you all the way through these fjords and to the other ways and other glaciers and the other part of Patagonia. Very interesting for those who want to actually explore a bit further than what everybody does. And so here you have like the Scorpius, which is an okay vessel. It's like not too chic, not too posh, but it's the suites like this one is quite okay to actually stay in and explore with them Patagonia. Then you have the Australis, and the Australis is something bit more higher end, bit more luxurious. They have several itineraries, and it's also interesting because they actually combine and connect Punta Arenas in Chile with Ushuaia in Argentina. So here you actually have another border crossing with Argentina that you can do on one of these cruises. So you can start either in Chile or in Argentina and end in the other country, and then continue your journey, maybe up to Iguazu Falls or wherever your trip and your adventure might take you. The Australis, as I say, is a bit more upmarket. It's a more luxurious one. It's more like a little cruise ship. They're all kind of small size. So this is like 200 passengers max. They're not the real big Carnival cruises as you might expect. And you have the real nice accommodation as well. So this is like something you can actually do as an add-on to your Patagonia trip, or decide to probably go and pitch a bit of the Antarctic and get on this one, which is the Antarctica 21. You can actually fly out of Punta Arenas to Base Frey, from where you actually do the cruising. And then you have actually a cruising that actually takes you to Antarctica and back. There's several itineraries of these ones that will show you Antarctica. So this is their beauty. They actually have several boats. This is just one that we showcase here. But this is a really nice product to actually take into account for your travel. So now we have Isla de Pascua, Easter Island. First, let me get back to Chile and say, if you really want to see those parts that we have actually gone across, you probably need 3 nights for Atacama, 2 or 3 nights in Santiago. You need 3 nights for the Lake District, and then 3 or 4 nights for Patagonia without a cruise. If you'd like to add a cruise, you probably have to add another 4 to 5 days to that. So that's going to take your journey through the whole of Chile. And that's actually why I also started showing you different parts, and we can actually mix and match whatever you'd like to see and what you'd like to adventure, whether it's more off the beaten path, whether it's the highlights. We will make sure to get that itinerary out there that actually works with your time frame, with your expectations, and also with your budget. So here we have Easter Island, and this is like, again, a whole complete other experience than mainland Chile. As I said, it's like a 5-hour flight out of Santiago. It's the most remote island in the world. It has Polynesian influences, and you get to this island where you need at least 3 nights, and also probably maximum 3 nights, because otherwise it'll probably get a bit more boring. But 3 nights is a very good time frame to actually get and explore Easter Island. And here, this is what you're gonna have: these moais, which are these sculptures, these statues, that is just intriguing. And everywhere you go, and everywhere you walk, or everywhere you have anything to do on this island, they'll pop up, and you'll see different ruins of the Rapa Nuis. The sunrises you cannot miss at this island. And also for those who want to dive or have the eager to actually see the moais underwater, then that's also very good possible here. This is Angaroa, which is like the main village of the island. Also here you have some time to actually relax. We can organize some really nice outdoor dining, outdoor lunches. There we go. And of course, you have one festival as well in February, where you have the biggest festival of the Easter Island. Now let's get you to this video of Easter Island. Internet's getting slower and slower.
Yorana, Toglingoa, Cocaroline Rapupon, Auge Uca ora Ponu, Toca in Aneko te Pito Tehinoa Tingoa, Hanga Umo Amua tu Korua Tatoa, it me he ori mo maoa. Para mí el baile es como mi pasión, es como mi día a día. No podría vivir sin bailar, sin escuchar música tampoco, pero de aquí, de la isla. Me siento como orgullosa de tener mi cultura y que a otras personas les interese y les agrada, porque a nosotros nos enseñaron desde muy pequeños a cuidar y a proteger, a sentir.
Yo creo que es sorprendente que un grupo de personas, reducido en comparación a otras culturas, con tan pocos recursos, ni siquiera se trabajaba el metal acá en la isla, hayan llegado a generar esculturas tan grandes, tan magníficas como los moai, como los ajus, las diferentes presencias de vestigios arqueológicos que podemos encontrar en la isla.
Uno cuando está acá en la isla y siente este viento, uno se imagina las historias que te cuentan tus abuelos, las canciones que uno oye, igual es extraordinario.
I would describe Easter Island as a special place with very strong cultural, so it's been a very special trip for me because of that.
Soy una persona muy feliz de estar aquí porque puedo sentir de que mi espíritu o mis ancestros todavía están acá.
We love Rapa Nui.
So after this journey through Chile, which I hope you've enjoyed, we also would like to actually highlight some of these special trips, special interest trips that we can organize, like the more communitary trips, or if you're on a romance trip, if you go more into gastronomy, if you really want to do the adventure stuff, or if you're here with your family and your kids, then we actually can do that as well. Or if you're here to just like detox, get rid of all the stress, and get into meditation. There's several ways to get you on the trip to Chile. And I can't tell you enough how vast this country is and how few people you actually will encounter, which is something everybody wants nowadays. You don't want to see other people anymore. So once Chile is open and whenever you're ready to go on a journey, please contact any of these great travel professionals and we'll make sure to get you on an incredible and mind-changing journey. Thank you so much.
I want to thank you, Bram, for taking us through the entire journey. We did run a little bit over, but I wanted you to.
What happens with me? I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I wanted you to get through the entire presentation. Patagonia is on my bucket list, and my husband is a photographer and stargazer and all of that. So I really appreciate you hitting all the different areas, because the country is just, it's got something for everyone. And I think once everyone has an opportunity to take a look at all the different things they can do, I'm sure it's going to be at the very top of their list. So let's start with a few questions quickly. While we were going through the presentation, everyone was asking when the borders are going to open to US citizens. So if you can address that for us.
Yes, at the moment it is set for in like 2 week time when the borders will open.
Okay.
Now we have to see how that works, but sure. There is this light at the end of the tunnel, as we all want to see it, that Chile will be opening soon.
Okay, and do you have, I know this is a loaded question, you may not know because, you know, it's always fluid, but when the borders reopen, do you anticipate the government requiring a PCR COVID negative test like a lot of the countries?
Definitely, yes. There will be a 72-hour, unfortunately, test that needs to be presented, and you have to do a declaration through an app. So Chile will actually come up with an app. You have to do a declaration through that app and come with your negative test to come in, yes.
Sure, and I just got back from the Maldives. You'll see the picture that my husband took of one of the beautiful sunsets that we were on an anniversary trip, and we were there for 2 weeks, and the Maldives was the same way. They did change, however, the PCR testing, and we didn't find out until, you know, we had already left, but they went from 72 hours to 96 hours, which the further away you are, the more time you need.
It helps. Yes, it helps. Sometimes I personally feel 72 hours is a bit stressful. Yes. You also need to do the flight and everything. You have to pack and do all the things. You never know when it gets there. In 24 hours or 48 hours, you get the results. So it is a bit stressful.
The good news is, and those of you that are still on the call that are looking to plan something between now and the end of the year, more and more airports are providing testing centers within the rapid testing. So that's the other whole thing is, do they want the PCR or is the rapid okay? And there's all these questions, right, that we're all trying to ferret through in the travel industry. So I know, again, you're not going to necessarily know this because you're not even open yet, but
it's going to be PCR. It's going to be the PCR.
Yeah. Okay. So the immigration forms you said are going to be on an app, and I experienced that when I went to Mexico at the beginning of October, and then we experienced the same thing just getting back the first part of November from the Maldives, where you just go on and it was easy peasy. So I'm sure it'll be similar for you folks too. So
That's correct.
okay, and then I also had Jeff had asked earlier, and I knew the answer to the question because I had been on the drone site. My husband also flies drones everywhere we go, and each country has its own rules about drones. And Chile's seems to be pretty open if it's on a personal level, not a business level, of course. So I ginned out to him a website for him to go and look at that. But he also had another question that was more specific about your immigration. And if when we were watching the video, people were like, you're going to come here and then you're going to want to find a job and move here.
Everybody wants to stay.
He must have been inspired by that, because the question was, what's involved in becoming a citizen of Chile, and what type of laws do they have when it comes to firearms and things like that? Are you familiar with any of that information?
Not really. I have to be honest. In terms of firearms, I'm sure it's not like as open as it is in your country.
Sure.
In terms of migration, there are many options to actually get a visa or to get a permanent residence.
Okay.
In Chile. It's not too difficult really to migrate. Yeah.
Okay, good. So those are good questions. And then it looks like I know a lot of people had questions too about what's the best time of year to go, and it obviously is going to really depend on what type of traveler you are and what season you're looking to travel for. So depending on if they're summer people and want a beach relaxation thing, or if they want mountains and skiing, you obviously can help us provide all of those things for them.
For Patagonia, it's important to know that most of Patagonia is open October to April.
Okay.
That's like the summer in Chile. Is in wintertime down south, it's freezing cold and you probably don't want to be there. So October to April, that's also when most hotels, or all hotels actually, are open. And there are actually hotels that actually, that close down from May to September.
Sure. And you are, as you mentioned earlier too, one of those destinations, my son is all about going to Antarctica at some point in his life. And I always thought we would be going through Argentina, but when I saw the end of your presentation, I'm like, well, maybe we'll do Chile and then go. So.
You have several ways to get to Antarctica, and of course, out of Argentina you have options, and then also out of Chile you have options. So yes.
Okay, good.
You're welcome to come to Chile, and we'll take you to Antarctica as well.
Okay, good. I know some of my clients will. I would not have thought of that as an option, so I appreciate you putting that in the presentation as well. And the recommended time, if you wanted to see several areas of the country, would probably be 10 days. Does that sound like a minimum?
Minimum, I'd say, yes. 10 days is a good time to do some wines, to do some lakes, and to do Patagonia.
Okay.
10 days is great. If you have any other day extra, we can take you to Atacama to the north, or we can do something else.
Okay.
Yes, I'd say 10 days is the minimum. It's also it's a long flight out of the States. It's way down here.
Sure. Well, I personally would want to take a month off, but I know how US workers are. You go to your boss and say, I need a month off. It's not like we're Europeans where we get the whole month off. You know what I mean?
When you're retired, you might.
Right. So I try to be cognizant of that for my American US clients. So okay, good. So 10 is minimum for certain parts, and then obviously if you had 3 weeks or more, then you could hit all the different areas and really do it justice, is what
it's also for less. If you're like on a business trip to Santiago, you can also do like a couple of days.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, if you're going to be there because you have to go for work, for sure. I get it. Yeah. Well, wonderful. Let me see if there's any other questions you have. Please throw them in the chat for us. I didn't see anything else pop in while we were going through those. So I, again, really appreciate both of you, Sebastian and Bram, coming on, sharing this wonderful country with us. And again, those of you who need the information that we shared, you can, in the chat box, in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see a little box with 3 dots. If you click on that, you can hit save the chat, and in the chat has all of the information from the Q&As, as well as the meetup groups, the Take a Virtual Vacation YouTube site, information about all of us this evening. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. So thanks everybody for sticking with us and having a wonderful, wonderful time here in Chile.
Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry to take a bit more time than planned.
No, it was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Yes, everybody have a great evening. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye. Don't forget the Chilean wine.
Yes, don't forget the wine. Bye-bye.
Wow.